Welcome back to Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat. Join us as the team at Wildfire Marine mocks and fabricates custom seating for the 25-foot Bertram.
Here at Wildfire Marine, we're working on Dave Taylor's 25-foot Bertram project. Now that we have our transom all wrapped up, we're going to go ahead and work on some custom seating and another piece of deck up in the forward area to give him a little more cockpit space. The first thing we did up forward is both of the bulkheads going into the cabin, where Bertram used to use marine plywood covered with formica for a finish. And basically the material is raw, and so the bottoms of all of them had rotted out. So we took the two bulkheads out and basically made patterns, and we laid up new cord bulkheads out of Divinycell and biaxial fiberglass, and we went ahead and put those in place so we could put his dashboard back on. On these old 25 Bertrams, they have a big drop in the deck between the two helm chairs. So what we did is we made a filler panel to take up that space and bring it up flush with the rest of the deck. And by doing that, it turned the cockpit into a very large cockpit over what it used to be. It's more usable than before. Dave wanted to come up with more of a different seating configuration for the boat. So what we did is he gave me some basic ideas. So I built a bunch of cardboard mock-up seats, and you taped them together, and we brought them up. And when Dave came up, we put them on the boat, and he had mentioned he wanted an L-shaped couch. So we went ahead and built these longer pieces and set them on the boat, and then moved them around until we found out where he liked them, and then marked them. And then we would cut them and then go ahead and make our molds those sizes that he chose. If we had one seat that was going to be uniform, we would go ahead and make a good mold for it. But because we had 4 different ones, rather than go through the expense and time of building molds, we went ahead and made what I call knockdown molds. It's basically a piece of 1/4-inch plywood that's covered with smooth formica, and we cut it to the sizes that we need. And then basically we tape them together with air conditioning duct tape. Basically we built these out of a couple layers of mat, some biaxial glass, and Divinycell coring to make them nice and rigid since they're going to be sat on. And Dave also needed some storage, and rather than going into the V-berth all the time. So I made good sized gutters where all the hatches are, so that any water, rainwater or any other type of water that gets on them is just going to run straight out onto the deck and back towards the transom where they'll drain out. They're a little bit rough, but they serve well for a minimum cost for a piece of plywood and formica. We went ahead and built 4 molds out of 1 sheet of plywood. So it's a very cost-effective way to build something custom like that. Once we got all the seats roughed in, then we had to trim the excess glass on them, but then I have to do all the finish work. We got the corners are a little bit rough. They have to be sanded down. There's going to be a couple little deformations in them here and there. So there's a little bit of fairing and then some primer, and then we'll go ahead and paint them to match the interior of the boat. While we're working on those, we get a call from Armstrong that our bracket is ready. So that's going to be our next step. Once we get the bracket up here, we're going to go ahead and lay that out and get that bolted on the back.